That was one of the first solutions we tried before the traffic light, with regard to the left turn off of Middlefield heading west, was extending that left turn lane so that they weren't backing up and clogging Middlefield. So that's the first solution you look to. The question, I guess, that I would like answered for our next consideration of this questions is, one, do we have enough room? We certainly wouldn't want to use any private property unless it's school property. How long could the left turn lane be? Because if it's only 1 or 2 cars, that's probably not enough. We want it longer than that. And what would the cost to the town be? And would the school district or Menlo Park or Menlo Park be willing to share the cost as they did with regard to the light?
Yeah, I would just agree in a way that, unless you make that left turn lane pretty long, cars are going to try to get into it, but then they'll be stopping all the other traffic coming along. I don't know how many cars want to make a left turn in there at the particular times. I really don't know. I know that whole area is a very congested area.
Yeah, I usually seem to end up about 10 cars behind, and only some of those are trying to make left turns, but it only takes one who wants to make a left turn to stop
it.
everybody.
I mean, if you put a left turn lane in and it fills up, you're back where you started.
Well, not exactly. You still have quite a few cars that can go through.
I mean,
hopefully.
Every car you get out of the roadway is going to help.
Right, but I mean, if you had a 3-car turn lane there,
it would help.
It would help, but it would only help for 3 cars. I mean, you would still, the 4th car would still be sitting in the left lane.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know how many cars want to make a left turn lane, left turn in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's that costly, so let's find out.
If I could mention, it was mentioned about the Samtrans drop-off area. There are a couple buses that do stop there in the morning and the afternoon to pick up kids and bring them home. The same goes with Selby Lane. They've also got a couple buses out there in the morning and afternoon that drop off kids and pick them up to bring them home.
So are you saying that you couldn't use that area to that side, you think?
If you encroach on it, then the buses are going to be sitting off the roadway, which is going to cause another backup for westbound cars.
Mm-hmm. Well, is it possible they could move down some? Is there area frontage?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
one of the things that I think through all of this has got to be considered. I look at what's happening with what's the school on Santa Cruz?
Hillview.
You look at the construction at Hillview, and you look at what the construction at Ensignal's been, and they construct on their playing fields, on their parking fields, and they build bigger schools, and they leave no room for cars. Instead, it all goes onto the city streets. Now, in that case, it's mostly Menlo Park. In our case, it's mostly Atherton. But I think, public entities, including schools, need to be responsible. And they need to consider not simply the short-term effect on the student body, but the long-term effect on the people, including the students, and how they get to school and their safety. And I think that they're forgetting that element when they increase the student body size and their school size and encroach on their lands to an extent that they really can't accommodate the traffic. I compare that to a place like Sacred Heart, where they built it out so that they made it so that cars could come on their property and deliver their children safely and at the same time making it so that it was less burdensome on the adjacent streets and safer for the children and the other people who were utilizing those streets, including the parents and the children who go to those schools. I think that's, you have to have a kind of a holistic approach to these things, and I don't think our public schools are doing a very good job of it.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, but the trouble is,
we have no power.
You have the same situation in Menlo Atherton, where they keep building things there, including that Performance Arts Center. Now they're building a big new building there. All of it takes away from parking, and so they're saying, basically, screw you, we're going to do what we want and let the neighbors find a place to park. It's sad. It's It's really sad, but we tried very hard to influence Menlo Atherton on several issues, including lights and Performing Arts Center and various other things, and they just basically gave us the finger. And, you know, they said, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, we're separate, and go to court, but you're not going to win, more or less what we said. And I think it's the same thing. I agree. I get a lot of people talk to me about complaints about the Encinal traffic situation.
If there's something we can do to make this safe for everybody, the people on the roads and the school children, it would be nice to be able to work out a viable solution. So whatever you can do to look into it and find out what our options are.
So Councilmember McKeithy, just so what I wrote down here is that your request is for staff to report back at the next meeting to first of all determine whether or not there's adequate room for a left turn pocket.
Yes.
If yes, how long a left turn pocket, how many cars can it accommodate? And then what the cost of those improvements might be.
And then fourth, whether or not the cost could be shared conceivably by the school district as well as Menlo Park. So you'd have to go to the school district, or at least to the principal, and ask that she go to the school district as well as approach Menlo Park and ask whether or not they would be willing to share a cost of a traffic calming solution.
Okay, do we have a motion to do exactly what Councilmember McKeithy has described?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the police traffic unit. Make any comments on that, Chief?
Yeah, Anthony's going to talk about it briefly, but it comprises 3 months since our last traffic committee meeting, and we continue to be very aggressive about traffic enforcement. And I think we're seeing some pretty good results in some of the areas.
November and December were fantastic.
Yeah, it's ever changing though. It seems like we focus in one area, it kind of gets displaced to another area, and then we move over there. And, but I think the staff, the officers are doing a real good job. And I think they're doing a lot in the area of trying to communicate with the motoring public, the educational piece as well out there.
I'll tell you, just seeing those cars with the lights flashing. I saw one on El Camino the other day. Everybody started to slow down, so it really helps.
I'm concerned about the number of unlicensed drivers that you're picking up. I mean, it's really bad. I guess nowadays we can't impound a car anymore. Right.
There's a lot of new rules under the community caretaking doctrine that have gone into effect because of actions of police officers in other states. So they've really clamped down on the impounding of vehicles driven by people not only who are unlicensed, but also by those who have a suspended license, or even people that have been arrested. So really now to tow a car away takes a lot more to tow it nowadays than we would have needed before.
Let me ask you this, if you find somebody who's stopped a second time in the same car and is an unlicensed driver, what do you do?
If the car can be parked safely, then or if the car is stopped safely, or if they have somebody in the vehicle that has a license, or if they can call somebody with a license in a reasonable amount of time, we have to release the vehicle. If it's stopped blocking traffic, or stopped in an unsafe location, or if the person has a lot of valuable property in it, and for the protection of the person's property and vehicle, if it should be towed, then we can tow it.
Does the fine go up for the second offense?
The tow charges and stuff remain the same with us and with the tow companies, but any fines that deal with the court, they set their own schedule, so I don't know what they charge for second and subsequent offenses.
What is the fine?
I don't know. The courts would have that information.
Have you any idea what the fine is for driving without a license?
Probably over $100. But by the time you add assessments and fees and stuff, you could be looking at $200 or $300, but that's just a guess.
I mean, my concern is that, you know, if it's repeat offenders, then they're just basically saying we don't give a damn about licensing. And finally, you're really saying we can't do much about it.
I'd like to commend the chief again for his great service in listening to our group here in enforcing, and his staff enforcing the traffic laws. I mean, you look at the statistics here, we talked about it here. In December of 2010, they gave 30 speeding tickets, and in December 11, when you were here, it's 103. And I think you're a little staff short than you were than they were previously. So I think we should commend the chief for the good work he's doing. And you talk about traffic fines. Our neighbor is a lady that's never got a ticket in 20, 30 years. If you go down south on El Camino in Menlo Park, you turn right at the Applebee Pizza, and if you turn right going more than 10 or 12 miles an hour, the light flashes, you get a $481 ticket. Which she obtained, and I've heard 5 or 6 people have got there. Thank God it's not
That works on
Atherton.
speed as well?
Pardon?
They work on speed? I thought.
They go on the speed to make the right turn, right?
The red light cameras,
I guess the red light, right?
they're based on a time distance speed formula.
Right. But it's not,
Well,
it's not going
have to be more
it's
careful.
not going through the red light, it's making the right turn off the red light,
Well,
which is legal
without stopping.
without stopping, yeah.
Oh, without
Well,
stopping?
Without stopping or going more than so many miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's still $481
That's a lot.
for a right turn.
wow.
Well, you know, you probably shouldn't tell her this, but if she says she doesn't know who was driving the car, based on everything I'm reading now,
Oh, yeah.
they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's
They
really.
take photos, they got her photo.
No, but it's being litigated considerably and questioned. That's a big, other story. Could I have a question answered for my, I just didn't understand how it was done. In the December report, the first page, it said that Officer Marks worked a combined 184 and a half hours out of 170 scheduled hours. Does that mean he worked overtime? I know there was a grant, but it doesn't say that was additional, part of that was the grant. It says he had 170 scheduled hours and he worked 184 and a half. So was it overtime?
I'd have to check on that right offhand. I can't remember unless Anthony does.
I believe some of it may have been a grant, and some of it too, he's been covering for patrol quite a bit. And because he's been covering for patrol, even though he's scheduled at 170 hours, he's actually been working more than his schedule because we've been short on patrol. So he's been supplementing patrol.
Okay, so it probably was overtime. Okay, it's not just a typo. Thank you.
Okay, the next item I have is.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I noticed that there are quite a few accidents on Marsh Road, somewhat east of Middlefield. And there are also quite a few in Middlefield at Glenwood, or thereabouts. From the traffic committee's perspective, are these safety issues that can somehow be dealt with, what's causing the accident?
I had one. The car wasn't paying me the attention. She was on her phone and she rammed into me.
Right, most of the collisions on Marsh Road are people just driving too fast, running into each other, rear-end accidents. We did have one during this time span where a delivery truck took off a tree. But for the majority, I'd say about 90% of them on Marsh Road is just somebody going too fast for conditions and runs right into the back of somebody else.
They don't realize the cars are stopped.
Right. Middlefield and Glenwood, one of the biggest problems there's actually a couple would be cars making a left-hand turn from Glenwood onto northbound Middlefield. Or the other issue that happens quite a bit is a car making a left turn from northbound Middlefield onto westbound Glenwood, makes a turn right in front of somebody else, and they end up getting hit in the intersection. So that's turning violations right there is what's causing the majority of those crashes.
That's the Linden Gate, right? Does that cause an issue of people going in and out?
Very few of the collisions are caused from people coming out of or going into the Linden Gate. It's mostly making the left-hand turn from northbound Middlefield onto Glenwood, or the left turn from Glenwood onto northbound Middlefield.
So are there mitigation things that we could do? I mean, can we slow people down by having a stop traffic ahead flashing light on Marsh, for example? And are there things we could do on Middlefield to make people more cautious?
I think a majority of it, people just not paying attention to their driving. People busy doing other stuff. eating,
That's what
talking
happened
on
in
the
my
phone.
case. She wouldn't have noticed the flashing light. She was on her cell phone. She was putting in numbers on her cell phone. I mean, she told me what she was doing. She
You're
was
not
really
allowed,
very
you're not
nice.
allowed to do, that's against the law.
I know, she was wrong on all counts. I mean, she apologized profusely.
Any other comments on this item? On the next item, Public Works Department, I guess I congratulate you of installing the no stopping signs at 373 Alameda, but on number 2 there, the keep clear zones on Middlefield, Fair Oaks, Watkins, Linden, it should be and James, were approved by the council.
Okay, so there were 4 intersections?
Yes, if you look at the minutes of the last meeting, you'll find that there are 4. Fair Oaks, Watkins, Linden, and James.
Okay, and the status of those is that we're waiting for drier weather, and so.
But will you add James to that?
Yes, I just did.
How long do you need it to be dry? We haven't had rain for quite a while.
Well, it's not only that, but it's also, we have painting throughout the town, we scheduled in April, or scheduled for April.
Okay,
So that's when we were planning on doing that,
okay.
okay?
Also, you might give an update on Valparaiso and Hoover.
Well, the lighted crosswalk is in. We have some contract issues with the contractor, but the actual lighted crosswalk is in, and it's been operational probably for at least a month now.
And everyone is very happy.
Over a year ago, this committee approved trying some red painting of a curb and putting up a sign saying no stopping directly across, I believe, from Emsnall School. I don't know if that's in
This
this.
is on James.
Was that on James? Has that ever been done?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Has it been?
yeah, that was done.
That was done.
Okay.
Yeah, the crosswalk,
Not a crosswalk.
wasn't it?
It's
No, it
on
was-
James. One of the cabs had been painted red, and there's a sign saying no stopping, because what was happening was cars were parking too close to the entrance to
That's what I
James,
mean, it was new.
and it was causing traffic hazards. So they put in about, 30 feet of red painted, and I haven't seen any cars parked since then.
Good.
And then just one more update, and that's with regards to the no right turn lane on Holbrook. That was brought to council, they approved it, and what we're supposed to do is bring back, after 4 months, to bring back a report back on the status. The end of the 4 months is at the end of this month. So, we did take, before the no right turn was installed, we took a 2-day count on a number of streets in that area. And then in late January of this year, we did a follow-up count just to see what the impact of the no right turn is. And in early April, we intend to take another set of counts. And with that information, along with information that we received from the police department on the enforcement warnings that they also did when the signs went up, we're going to put that all together and report back to the council, and we'll report back to this committee as well.
Does it look as if the traffic has been reduced on?
Yes, it has, and which we expected. What we're really looking at is to what degree it was increased on the other streets. And so, but at least with the counts that I got back in January, there was, as expected, significant decrease on Holbrook. And actually, the increases that we saw on, can't remember the street names now, but it's basically the extension of Fair Oaks, whatever that street name is, and then Palmer, and then what's
San Benito.
yeah, we also took counts on Palmer and San Benito, and actually, although their volumes increased, but not that much. And so that's really what we wanted to take another set of counts to see,
Good,
just to confirm that.
thank you.
Are there any other comments from the committee or from the public?
I have one request, looking back at these minutes from a year ago, I realized that we have copies of the draft minutes, and I had scratched in on this one what the corrected minutes are supposed to read. I'm wondering if each of the committee members shouldn't be given a copy of the corrected minutes for their own records.
We
like to
can,
request it
we
also.
can see those on the website and make a copy of them if we so desire, but I think that paper-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have corrected copies. I don't know how many people retain them, and I think it's probably environmentally not the best thing, but they're all on the website. So you can see it right away and get it off the website if you want a copy.
Before you announce the next meeting date of Tuesday, May 8th, that thing on the agenda?
Yes.
By Tuesday, May 8th, 4 of the people in this committee are going to be out of office.
No, that's not true.
Well, that's my date, Gene Schaff is the only one that,
Teresa is going to make a recommendation that all committee assignments be extended through June
when is she going to do that?
for the March agenda council meeting.
Okay,
That take care of that.
right.
So, if there's no other business, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second? All in
Second.
favor? Aye. Thank you.